This is Theoretical Thrills, the podcast where three hosts pitch original theoretical rides and attractions based on things they don't own. A special guest judge awards bronze, silver, or gold based on three separate categories: most creative, most practical, and guest's favorite. With bragging rights on the line, the hosts will try to pick each other's ideas apart through gentle ribbing. So sit back, relax, and stand clear of the moving doors as we present Theoretical Thrills.
Theoretical Thrills, the theory of the thrill.
Oh boy!
In 3, 2, fun!
Hey everybody, welcome to Theoretical Thrills. I'm your host, Oliver.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are joined today by our lovely guest, Kathryn. Kathryn, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
You know,
Pretty good. You're here with us today for a very special episode, and that is the episode of Wizard of Oz. Kathryn, what's your background with theme parks and Wizard of Oz?
So, theme parks, I've been working in theme parks since I was 16 years old, and that flourished into a career in theme park design. So I've been super fortunate to play in a lot of different sandboxes of my favorite fandoms, like Harry Potter and DC and Hunger Games and a bunch of others. And right now I'm in China working on a project. But as far as Wizard of Oz goes, that was probably the first movie musical I ever saw. It was one of the first shows I ever did as a child. It was, I watched it over and over. It is comfort food at its core. And I love how that world has expanded into Wicked, or back in the day, Return from Oz, or, a bunch of different things. And
Well, good news. All of our pitches today are just wheelers. So this is going to be top-notch content for you. So we're going to be exploring that universe. And one of the things that we did right before we started this podcast is we spun a wheel for random order. And surprise, surprise, we're back to the good old-fashioned order of Spencer going first, followed by Brad, then me. And we're going to be doing Wizard of Oz. Now, if you enjoy the topic, if you enjoy what you're hearing, if you have an idea, let us know below by commenting or following and subscribing. Feel free to do anything. But without further ado, why don't we get right into it? Spencer, Wizard of Oz, take it away.
Great. So I've got my three pitches ready to go. My first pitch is essentially a Tower of Terror retheme with a twist, because there's a little bit more dark ride and a little bit more droppage or risage, if you will. So I'm going to read what I wrote, and then I'm probably going to have to clarify. So we're going to start with what I wrote first. Guests hop aboard their very own ride vehicle as they travel through the sepia, I don't know how to pronounce it, scenes of Kansas. Sepia, yeah, scenes of Kansas, a la Mickey and Minnie's.
Sepilia.
It's a
Sepilia.
weird. A la Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, where the front is shaped like the window in Dorothy's room for guests to see. So there's like a little AR effect there, right? Suddenly, the speed picks up slowly. The music plays, dun, 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 all that stuff. And the vehicle twists and turns just a bit, so it's got a little like rocking motion, but because it's a drop tower, it can't really do much craziness. So it got a little wind gusty style as scenes of the Twister come through. Miss Fulch on her bike. I wrote on her back, but I meant on her bike. It's
a different ride.
Just, all those things, etc., etc. And then right at the very end of the sepia Twister scene, the ride vehicle steadies itself and it drops. You go in through, well, before it drops, you go in as if you're Dorothy going in through the sepia door where she opens the door into the land of Oz, and you see it open like you would in the Tower of Terror windows, and then you drop down, and then you explore this dark ride element where you hear ding dong, the witch is dead, all this stuff, and the ride vehicle window opens, the car pushes through a dark ride scene to the Yellow Brick Road, the wonderful land of Oz, and the Wicked Witch, and iconic scenes with animatronics and some visual effects, and then the ride pushes through two giant ruby red slippers as you hear there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And the third time the ruby red slippers open, you go into complete darkness. And when you hear there's no place like home, the vehicle shoots back up as if it was a drop tower, but it goes back up, and that's when it ends. And you hear
lift.
the lift. It goes into complete darkness. The lift, and you hear, "You were there, and you were there, and there's no place like home." And then the lights come up, and riders exit the vehicle. So essentially, it's the dark ride of the Sepia AR.
Sepia. No, sorry.
That's right, Sepia. Yeah. And the little tilt-a-whirl shifty twistery thing go into a drop tower. There's a dark ride at the bottom. You go through the riverbed slippers. You come back up, and that's the first pitch. Is the Wizard of Oz Tornado Drop Tower ride.
So, Kathrynn, I don't know how many of older episodes, if any, you've listened to. Spencer has a love for drop towers.
A love is such a short word to describe his passion for drop towers.
A ride at theme parks.
I hear it.
we get a lot of variations of Tower of Terror.
Or a food court.
Awesome.
But this is not a food court. It's the Tower of Terror.
So Spencer, you're essentially you've designed Tower of Terror almost with just fewer drops.
Well, actually,
Hold on. He said more droppy, more windy. What was the third IE version of a
thing? Did I even say?
You said droppy. You said more droppy, more windy. And to me, that's so specific to this ride.
I don't remember that, but maybe I said it.
We'll go to the tape.
And I like the idea of like dropping the house literally up, but where I'm confused is like you have dark ride drop. How?
Yeah.
Oh, this is my favorite episode.
So here's where I'm going with it. So it really makes me think of I guess you can find it on YouTube, the way in which Tower of Terror works, where there's actually multiple shafts and multiple chambers in which the ride vehicle can go, because it has a randomized order. When you go in, there's like 13 combinations or whatever. So my thought was that there's like the general, when you go into the stars in Tower of Terror, and then you go in and then you go around the corner, so you have that little dark ride moment. So like very small scene, the windows open, you drop down. But then when you get down to the bottom, the car kind of does a trajectory forward into like as if it was another chamber or another shaft. And so then you see the next scene or whatever, and then it comes back up. So there's a constant rotation of the ride cars. You can't see what I'm doing at all, and I'm doing it backwards.
I get what you're saying. I think, I hate to break your heart, Drop Tower lover, I think Drop Tower is the wrong type of ride system for this idea.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it.
Little bit. I like the idea that you add in a thrill, that you add in a drop, a moment of like the guests, like, really being jarred, literally. But that's a coaster, my friend. That is a Hagrid's Magical Creatures type coaster where you drop track as opposed to drop tower, because you have to go up to go down. And that's more difficult in a dark ride setting. Not to break your heart, drop towers are fantastic, but your idea is way cooler as something else.
I mean, that's great. That's a great idea. I wish I had thought of it.
And speaking of wishing that he had thought of it, one thing to keep in mind, Kathrynn, is that you are going to be judging off of the original concept pitch, not what we discuss and fix and change. So keep that in mind. So if you think there's potential, that's great, but it's still just the thing that he pitched.
So yeah, keep the creativity of it all, of the idea. So you would. Keep that.
He starts campaigning now.
I'll say, I definitely do love the idea of dropping, it feels like the audience or the guests are in the house with Dorothy, and they literally are dropping the house. It's just what you should do at that point is then two little feet should just come up from the bottom of the ride vehicle.
Yeah, these are all great ideas. I wish I thought of them ahead of time.
Just the house dropping and killing a witch over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly. It's the creative process.
That's what it is.
I try to go for certain categories. And,
what's your and win it none of them. What's your next ride?
My next idea is very simple, way simple, probably too simple, and probably not very creative. But some might argue it's very practical.
Oh no!
It's
And what
follow the
type of drop tower is it?
Yeah, this is a walk-through drop tower. It's a lot like a boat drop tower.
It's called an elevator.
where you can actually get
It's a slow drop tower.
rides. Very simple ride. It's called Follow the Yellow Brick Road, a meet and greet with Dorothy and Toto. Very simple. What this is, guests can walk down their very own yellow brick road, and when they reach the Emerald City, there's a photo
very
opportunity.
own yellow brick road.
Well, it's a yellow brick road that guests can walk down.
Very own.
When was the last time you tried to get a photo in front of the Disneyland castle alone?
You know what I mean. It's one yellow
They
brick
can walk
road.
down the yellow brick road. That's not their very own
yes.
yellow brick
So
road.
guests can walk down a yellow brick road, and when they
Elton John's Yellow Brick Road?
when they reach the one Emerald City, there is a photo opportunity with Dorothy and Toto. Emerald City is a big backdrop at the end of the yellow brick road. It's like if you've been at the studio tour in Hollywood, they've got the big giant Hollywood sign at the end. It's kind of like that, but bigger.
Some sort of forced perspective graphic.
Yeah, so that's all it is. It's a meet and greet with Dorothy and Toto, but you get to live the experience of going down the yellow brick road and ending up in Emerald City. And the yellow brick road gets smaller and smaller as you get there, as you get
Do
to
you
Emerald
actually
City.
get to live the experience of going down the yellow brick road? Because there's a lot of stuff that happens going down that yellow brick road.
You know, it's not as interactive. It's literally just
It's literally you're just walking down a yellow brick path.
you can do what you want. If you want to sing "We're Off to See the Wizard," you can do that. If you want apples
No,
to
you're
throw,
adding. We're not talking about
you.
what the person could bring into this. What I'm saying is, you're essentially all you're doing. This is just a meet and greet. This is
correct.
This is just, and the queue just happens to be yellow bricks.
Correct. Very simple, very practical idea for sure.
That's it.
So,
Correct.
so the guest enters space, and it's the queue is the yellow brick road,
Mm-hmm.
and then the backdrop is Emerald City.
Right. So you take it. You can.
And no build out of the backdrop. No build out of the backdrop. No scenic design. No extra characters to pepper it. It's literally just Toto and Dorothy at the end with a backdrop.
Let me tell you this here. Let me tell you this tidbit. In
Bring
In
it,
Magic-
bring it.
in Magic Kingdom, in I guess New Fantasyland, there is a very popular attraction called Tail Hall, where you can meet some of the princesses, and it's literally a line where you wait to meet a princess, and that wait can get very long. This is at least interactive, where you can walk down a yellow brick road.
No,
and,
you can't. Walking is not interactive. That's not.
But you're stepping on the yellow brick road, so there's at least something to do. So you're not just standing.
You're stepping in a fantasy castle.
And here's the thing that kills me. He could have pitched a yellow brick road that when you step on it, it lights up. That would have been incredible. You could have pitched shoes that you buy and sell at the front of the park that light up when you step onto the road.
Yeah.
But no, you went yellow bricks, backdrop, photo opportunity. It's Madame Tussauds.
Yeah. My idea is very simple. It's very practical. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
You paint a couple bricks, you have a couple actors and a dog. It's easy.
It's a meet and greet photo application. It's most theme parks. I do think that to the point of Brad and Oliver, like, you gotta bring something more if you're gonna walk down the road. I think that instead of a queue, like a straight queue, something that goes, I know what you're describing. You're describing the big tented princess things that all the Disney parks have now. If that queue is a road, then there's something happening in that road until you get around to the room where Emerald City is. You have to have something. Otherwise, you're standing in a line on top of yellow floor.
Well, I was thinking it was just like a big outdoor space, like a courtyard.
Oh, outdoor.
So it's a backdrop that blows over.
Well, it's like a big yellow brick road. It's not just like a little tiny
In my mind, it's in the middle of the parking lot.
You can go that way.
No, you go one way. Because if you go multiple ways, then you're breaking the line, and then you're gonna have.
Oh yeah, no,
real
you can't do
problems.
that. It's just a big circle. But you go the yellow brick road, but it twists and turns one way to the end.
Well, Spencer, it's very practical.
I thank you. I really appreciate that.
And I bet this one goes for fan favorite. What's your third one, Spencer?
My third one is saving the best for last.
Okay.
Let's hope.
It's
This
a meet
one-
and greet drop tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a meet and greet tower. Hi. Ah!
Go on, my friend. Go on.
There's a lot of characters in Wizard of Oz. None more popular than the apple throwing trees. But in the mindset of, there's Dorothy, there's the Tin Man, there's a Scarecrow, there's the Lion, there's Auntie Em, there's all these wonderful characters. One that kind of gets lost in the shuffle in a lot of things is good old Professor Marvel before he is Oz, or I guess after he's Oz in the case of this ride. Anyway, the point is, I have Professor. Wow, I'm
Professor.
All right, backtrack. Professor.
He did the Fessel run in 10 parsecs.
That's it. You just wait for the description when I can't think of words, and I just chose to describe the words.
Oh, we are.
Professor Marvel's journey through Oz. So this is what I consider sort of like a wave swinger meets Soren. So you first enter as and I'll read it and then I'll explain it. You first enter as a group in an element similar to the Haunted Mansion for a pre-show inside Professor Marvel's traveling wagon, because I couldn't figure out what that thing was called, where there are props, costumes, and memorabilia from the Wizard of Oz on display with a set dressed to Professor Marvel's crystal ball business, because I couldn't think of what it was.
Isn't it just a wagon? It's a traveling...
Yep.
It's
just a wagon.
You literally called it what it is.
Okay, great.
And you couldn't think of what it was called.
It's one of those things. It's like a wagon with wheels on it, and it goes places.
Suddenly, guests are greeted by an actor portraying Professor Marvel, who mentions that he is headed to Omaha, Nebraska, and wants to bring us along for the ride on his hot air balloon, and then runs off after shouting, "Come along, then!" And then, the doors open like they do in a Haunted Mansion. And then when you go in, they get you set up, and there's several balloons, like Soren has the hang gliders, but these are hot air balloons, which have 4 seats on each side that are set like you're literally facing, there's a 360 screen, 360 AR screen. So you get, I wrote more. Hold on, let me read the rest of it. The doors open and the right...
AR screen?
He means projected.
It's projection, right?
Okay.
Let me read what I wrote, because I realized I wrote it all down.
Yeah, read what you...
Oh, I hope so.
The doors open and the riders are guided to vehicles resembling hot air balloons in a vein similar to the Soren hang gliders. However, these rides feature seats wrapping around hot air balloon design vehicles with harnesses for each rider, 4 across and 4, and there's 4 sides. There are 4 across on each of the sides, where their feet Soren are dangling. From there, Professor Marvel releases the balloon and guests float to the top of the theater to get a view of Oz on their way to Omaha. The theater has a 360-degree view of the screens that show different views as the ride vehicle sways gently in motion, spins slowly throughout to present all angles for each rider, and sometimes, like a wave swinger, leans forward or backward ever so slightly to get the feel of flying in a hot air balloon. This is a gentle ride that has riders float above high on the sky on their very own hot air balloon with Professor Marvel. So it's got the feeling of Soren, but it's in a hot air balloon and 360 degrees.
360. So instead of like...
It's like, I wrote...
It's like underneath? Like your screen is underneath the guests?
No, it's all around.
No, your thing makes sense. His thing doesn't.
So
it's all around. So
it's like
what about below you, bud?
Why would you look below you?
Is it the Canada? It's the Canada Theater or whatever in
yeah. It's Circle Vision.
Circle Vision.
Yeah, it's like Circle Vision.
Okay.
I wrote AR effects meet Soren with a little Harry Potter / Epcot Mary Poppins ride.
How are you augmenting reality?
What? Wait, hold on. Go back to that Harry Potter Mary Poppins Soren.
Yeah, what I mean is so like you know how like some of the rides have like the robo arm, so they kind of move around. It's kind of got that feel, but then the screen's like Harry Potter. But then it also felt like Mary Poppins feels like it's supposed to be similar to the Harry Potter ride, so it's got like that rotating pivot, the rotating axis. So I'm thinking of the hot air balloon kind of floating on that rotating axis, so that's why it can spin 360, but it's not like spinning.
The only Soren aspect is that there's a screen.
Yes, that is correct.
And you're flying. You're in a hot air balloon as opposed to a hang glider.
Yeah, but if you don't have a screen underneath or anything below, then you're not.
You're just watching a movie. It's Shrek 4D.
No. You're literally flying. Yeah, like in Soren, you're right. You don't have anything below you. You just have a giant screen that you're seeing, and it feels like you're flying in the sky. But this is taking Soren and making it a full 360, and you're on a hot air balloon that tilts slightly, but it's like it like shakes like a wave swinger kind of.
So like what you're sorry, go ahead.
You go.
I'm sorry. No, I gotta ask this. In your mind, you said that there are riders on all four sides of the basket, right?
Correct.
Great. And you're telling me that the thing tilts, correct?
Okay, so this is where I think I'm confusing.
So if one side goes up to look up at the sky or to go look at the ground, the other ride car is being forced to look only at the ceiling. If the projection screen is only around you, half of the people riding this ride are looking at the ceiling, half of the people are looking at the ground, and you don't have enough room to give the people the same experience, much less the people who are on the sides doing this.
Forward or back ever so slightly, which does not mean they're facing down. It means that, like the motion of the hot air balloon, it sways a little bit, and so they might tilt a little bit, but they're not tilting like this. They don't just look straight down.
It's just a brief view of the rafters and the floor.
Yeah. Sorry, Kathryn, what were you going to say?
No, well, I'm trying to understand.
But also 360, it's all over.
So are we.
Like what you mean. I think what you're trying to do is give the guest a 360 perspective, right? You want them to
Correct.
feel like they're in the air and do the thing. And when you bring up Harry Potter, you bring up Forbidden Journey, right? Which basically has many versions of Soarin' cones, but the guests are on a kuka arm, so they feel like they're flying. You don't see the actual like ride system. It looks like this. But
That's what I do.
No, the difference is his description's this, and yours is a correct description of the ride vehicle.
This?
Oh, his is this with seats on all sides, and then it's just going like.
Yeah, the hot air balloon is literally a kuka arm with seats.
I think your seats on all sides is where you get a hang up, because like, how do you you can do one ride vehicle at a time? Then you can't in that space. If you have more than one ride vehicle, then to the boys' point, they're seeing the other vehicles. Somebody is seeing the other vehicles. It's like, think about
It doesn't stop Soarin' though.
Well, Soarin' is all flat. Everybody's
It's
You
flat.
can see people's feet.
But you're forced to face. Your perspective is straight towards the screen.
Right. This is what you're describing, Spencer, is more like if you take the idea or the layout of the teacup ride where you have people on all sides and then you lift them in the air, you're still going to see everybody else flying at the same time as you. It's like a.
So no one's going to have a clear view.
Yeah, it's like a round ride, but you're adding a screen around it.
See, I feel like maybe I'm not explaining it well, because I wouldn't consider it to be like the teacups at all.
But
buddy, I'd take her version.
Spencer, think about it. If you have these balloons going up in the air, all right, people are going to be forced to be blocked by other ride vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you can easily just have multiple screens and just have a divider between, so you can't see.
How much do you think a perfectly sphere screen costs? Much less. How do you think we're gonna get? Oh, I'm so angry. I don't have words.
How?
I think, Spencer, there's a couple ways that this works. Like the idea of like a 360
Peter Pan.
I think if you did want to do, you get over the fact that people are going to see other people. It's basically a round ride in the sky, or every ride vehicle has its own individual projection room, which is expensive, but not out of the
It might be
realm of
worth it.
possibility.
Might be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this is a very creative idea myself.
Stop trying to give yourself awards here.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, like a hernia is interesting.
I do think that I like the idea that you brought in Professor Marvel. He is he's a character that is in the beginning and the end, but he's such an interesting character. It's like Mystic Manor, the whole idea of the professor in Mystic Manor that's got all this like cool random stuff. I love that because that gives you a great opportunity to like set dress the shit out of a space. So I like your entrance.
Thanks, I love it too. It's
That's a great takeaway.
very, very practical and a very creative idea, if I do say so myself.
Stop giving yourself awards.
Spencer, let's
Those words to describe it.
I think it's more of like the wave swinger that I have in my mind.
Spencer.
No.
Spencer.
Hold on.
Spencer.
Hold on, let me finish this thought. Like in hot air balloons when you have like the sandbags, and you throw off the sandbags to go higher. I'm thinking of like the people being like the sandbags.
So a drop tower.
Pull off the basket?
No. But like when they're all, like when they're all tied to the hot air balloon and they kind of like shift a little bit and sway a little bit. But that's why people on the harnesses.
Oh crap, Dad, you're holding us down.
No.
Riders drop 45 feet to a crash pad where they get off and are told the ride's over. Buddy, review the name.
Stunt show.
Yeah, it's a stunt show.
My mind, I can visualize it.
It's the oohs and ahs.
I think the 360 thing could work if it shifts to more like a side wave swinger, because you're just going around in a circle. You see everything anyways, but you still get the concept.
Yeah, you're a round ride with a scream.
Remember Black Beauty, when the horse gets too old, they take it out back and there's a shotgun, and it's that sort of. Anyway, Spencer, please review your 3 ideas and let's hear Brad's. What are your 3 ideas one more time?
First we had the very, very, very practical tornado drop dark tower ride, followed by the very practical Wizard of Oz meet and greet, and finally the very creative Professor Marvel's Journey Through Oz.
Okay.
All right.
And a reminder, my points don't roll over this episode, Spencer.
It's okay. I think I can take a hit and still be all right this time.
All right, Brad, this is your pitch. For the love of God, what do you got?
Now that we've sat through Spencer's 3 dream rides, you know how I knew they were
3 drop rides. You mispronounced it.
You think I want to just have a meet and greet with Dorothy and Toto?
No, I knew they were dream rides because it was a snooze fest of a presentation.
Why'd you pitch it?
What?
Well, they're not all dream attractions.
Is this my pitch time, or are we just gonna keep talking?
I think you're just gonna keep roasting me, so I'm trying to defend my ideas of them not all being dream attractions. Just 2.
Anyways, his dream attraction snooze fest. I'm going to get on to my 3 pitches now. For my.
They're exciting.
What's your attitude? I'm trying to pitch here.
All right, whatever.
All right. Now, my Wizard of Oz land is going to be essentially divided into 3 sections. We have the Kansas section, the sort of farmhouse Kansas section. We have the Emerald City section, and we have the sort of Witch's Tower, Dark Forest, sort of spooky little section. And each section is going to feature an attraction or some sort of thing. So let's start off with my simplest attraction and where the movie starts in Kansas. And in Kansas, we're going to have Aunt Em's Farmhouse Kitchen. Now, this is a farmhouse restaurant set on the farm. The barn is going to be where the actual kitchen is and the sort of ordering window. The tables, there'll be tables set around the farm with tents over, sort of like they're having a big cookout or a big family get together, and all these people are coming to celebrate. The waiters are going to be farmhands. The reason I say waiters is because when you go to the order window and place your order, you're going to get a nice sort of little number queue sort of thing for the delivery. The big thing with this is I want to have a very basic sort of simple tracking in the device so that the waiters, the farmhands can sort of look at the pad, see exactly which table that one's at. They can see the general area. So it makes it a lot easier for them to sort of find the person rather than every single restaurant where they're like, 14, where's 14? 14? And they do you see the same waiter do 13 laps around you looking for this number.
So you're Bubba Gumpsing?
The reason for this is because there's also going to be some tables set up in the house as well, because we are going to have the house. So there will be some tables set up in the kitchen and that sort of feel. And it's going to give that sort of like Disney Hollywood Studios, is it Mom's Kitchen? The sitcom, the old,
I can't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So it's going to be that sort of feel where all the waiters and cooks and stuff, they're all characters themselves in this world. And then that allows us throughout the farmhouse and throughout the farm to have little sort of Easter eggs, like a little stuffed lion in the bedroom, or the scarecrow in the farm field, and and those sort of like maybe like a Tin Man looking thing near the tractor.
A tractor.
A Tin Man thing near the tractor. I want to have
Tin
like
Man looking thing?
Like a stack of like the like barrels and like an oil can tilted over on top and stuff like that. So it looks
Like a Tin Man.
a pile of junk. It looks like a pile of junk that happens to closely resemble. Yeah, feels like the Tin Man.
Yeah.
So you can sort of see. Yeah, so you can sort of see where these ideas might have come from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The main thing with this is the menu is going to be Kansas City barbecue, because this takes place.
There you go.
So we're going to have Kansas City style barbecue with slaw, fries, baked potatoes, fresh baked rolls. I want to really push for a sort of a lot of the sides and stuff. Especially, I want to push for a farm to table type feel, like Epcot is with its restaurant, with its fish and everything it grows in its little greenhouse and stuff like that. I want to sort of have that same sort of thing coming with this restaurant. So, the meat's probably going to have to come from a bigger, obviously not from there, but some of the things that we can do a little more local or a little more.
Hey, you could use the people who fell off of Spencer's ride.
They're not falling off.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to use what we have. Learning how to plus the idea.
So that is Aunt M's.
Sweetie Todd shit.
Yeah.
That is Aunt M's Farmhouse Kitchen. My second attraction takes place in Emerald City. This is the Wizard of Oz's Splendid Spectacular. Now, the Wizard of Oz is all about smoke and mirrors and making a big show of things. So I'm going to make a show. But I'm going to use lights, projections, and program drones to make a sort of phantasmic, magical sort of show that's going to combine music from the movie with a loose sort of embellished retelling of the Wizard of Oz. So it'll be a shortened sort of thing, but it's going to be the Wizard of Oz. It's going to be everything is going to be sort of bigger or more grand than what may have actually been in the movie, because he's putting on a show. So I want to use the sort of laser lights and this is going to be. I want this to be the sort of evening big show, because Phantasmic has it's 2 showings, 3 showings, or whatever, and then it's done. That's the sort of thing I want with this. This is the big attraction that we're. Everybody's coming to Emerald City to see the finale of the night before they head out. And so this is all put on by the Wizard of Oz. Yes, I know technically the Wizard of Oz leaves at the end of the movie. Don't care. This is going to be the Wizard of Oz in Emerald City.
So a real loose interpretation of the story.
Let's not even talk about your crap rides.
They were very creative.
So that's my second attraction that takes place in the Emerald City. That's Wizard of Oz's Splendid Spectacular. My third attraction.
That's just real quick. That's the nighttime spectacular. So that's an outdoor show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's about 20, 25 minutes.
Anyways.
Whatever.
So my third attraction takes place in our sort of dark, spooky woods around the witch's castle, and that is the Flight of the Flying Monkey. So what I want to create here is a hanging coaster designed like you're being picked up by flying monkeys.
Smart.
Cool.
It takes place in the dark woods around and through the castle. There's no loops in this coaster. The reason there are no loops is because it doesn't make sense for flying monkeys that are carrying you to be doing loops. They're struggling to carry you. I mean, they're carrying you and stuff like that, but they're not. You don't see them in the movie just doing stunts and loops and stuff like that. Where the thrills are going to come are from the hills, from the close calls. I want to. There's going to be a part. The sort of climactic part is where you're swooping through the tower, where you see the witch with Dorothy in the sort of prison cell and stuff like that. And you're swooping through the tower and then out and down again. So you get a nice little hill thrill motion through it. But it's going to be a lot of thrills. I want it to feel like your feet are coming close to trees or close to sort of rubble and stuff as you're making your way to the tower, through the tower, and then eventually back to the start. Spencer, do you have an idea?
I just have a question. Well, maybe a thought. So there's this idea that you said that they don't go upside down because they can't hold them, right? They can't hold people because they're struggling to hold people.
No.
But many would argue in the world of the Wizard of Oz that a lot of
said.
characters are able to defy gravity. So I feel like they could go upside down.
Do we put a blanket over you and you go to sleep? Is that how that works? We just put like a bird?
So,
Yeah.
anyways, watching the movie, the monkeys don't carry them and then start doing loops. It's not in character. Is he still covering his?
This is my bit for the evening.
All right.
The best part is there's going to be a big, huge smudge over his camera. And that's the part he didn't think about, is that he just dirtied the camera. Anyway, go ahead and continue.
So those are my 3 attractions.
Cool. Questions.
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Oh, always.
Cool. So, your Flight of the Flying Monkey, Spencer.
Speaking of giant monkeys.
Flight of the Flying
I just felt
Monkey.
like I had to.
Flight of the Flying Monkey.
Like story-wise, I get that they're like flying through everything, but like, what is? It's basically what you're describing is like the themed dark ride coaster, which is becoming incredibly popular lately, right? Like that's the next generation of attractions, which is awesome.
Sounds pretty practical.
But like what is the journey? They're like being picked up in the forest and being taken to the castle, or are they just
they're being picked up in the forest and being taken to the castle. So we're gonna the sort of feeling is the queue as you're going through the forest, the attendants, the people, the ride operators are going to be sort of witches, minions, sort of people, sort of get on the ride and stuff like that.
Those guys.
Yeah, they're you're being captured,
Backwards.
taken to these monkeys, to these flying monkeys, to be taken to the witch. And it's essentially when you get to the witch, because she was looking, they didn't get the memo. She's been looking for these ruby red slippers. And so they've just been herding everybody to try and get them to this castle. When you get to the castle, it's when you see the witch already has Dorothy. So it's like, no, get them out of here. I don't need all these people. And so that's when you're sort of exiting out of the castle, out of the tower.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Good ideas. I can't be upset. Those are all 3. Like all 3 of those are solid ideas.
Yeah, those are really solid. Yeah.
They're very practical and very creative, I must admit.
You're just gonna
Do you know any other words?
no, because now you're giving your awards.
Well, I also love when it was. So what do? They just are flying through the forest to the castle. The response was, "Yeah, they're just flying through the forest to the castle. That's exactly what it is."
Yeah.
So
That's the story of the.
there.
That's the story of the thing.
He asked for clarification. I said, yes, that is exactly what is happening.
She's the one awarding the points. Don't pick on her. Pick on him.
Well, I was picking on him for saying exactly what Kathrynn said.
She asked for clarification. She asked if she was hearing it right, and I said, yes, you are hearing it right. You are correct.
I also think that like what's cool about a lot of these is like it's the next level of a lot of things that are already in existence, which is basically what ends up being the most feasible stuff these days. Like even the system you're talking about operationally for Aunt M's farmhouse, basically what you're describing is what not 3 broomsticks, but the other
Leaky Cauldron
restaurant in Diagon.
Leaky Cauldron.
Leaky Cauldron is the same system, but instead of the guests choosing their own table, their order number is assigned to their table, and then that's how the server finds them. But I think that makes a lot of sense. You want to track people, and the technology exists. Why not be more efficient with it? Plus barbecue, dude. Yes.
It's my go-to at any theme park. If they have good barbecue.
Dude. Hoop-de-doo and like the adjacent restaurant in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And then your nighttime spectacular, like where you're seeing drones being added more and more, and
cheaper than fireworks.
Yeah. I would encourage you, go watch. I was just down in Zhuhai at Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, and like that is a Chinese theme park, and Chinese theme parks are crazy town, but their nighttime spectacular is drones, jet skis, guys on a jet propulsion thing, fire, fireworks, projection mapping, lasers, like smoke, it's water screens, it's everything. It's literally everything. But it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Sounds expensive.
So,
Doesn't need to.
it doesn't need to. In China, it doesn't need to. But I think that's really cool. I think nighttime spectaculars are great, and there should be one in every park.
All right.
I have nothing to pick
Great.
apart here.
Yeah, I have nothing to pick on either.
Oh, so my 3 pitches then.
Sorry, Spencer.
My 3 pitches as a
I mean,
review were.
Not as practical
and-
as a meet and greet.
Oh my gosh, let me recap, Spencer. My 3 ideas were Aunt M's Farmhouse Kitchen, The Wizard of Oz's Splendid Spectacular, and Flight of the Flying Monkeys.
Cool.
Oliver, it's all you.
All right. Now, one could sit here and think to ourselves, if we are pitching 3 rides and attractions and a movie that is very key on the fact that there are 3 sidekicks, literally 3 sidekicks, one might think we might explore that. But no, I've decided to go a different route and focus on a little bit of a different aspect. Something that at least happens to me, and now that I'm getting older and now that I have friends with kids and that sort of thing, there's a consistent problem with places to sit down in a nice cool area. If a kid needs to take a nap in their stroller, they have that. And recently, before all this pandemic stuff, I was traveling and I noticed in an airport these sleep pods that you could rent out for a quick nap. Secure, safe, supervised things that you don't have to worry about people messing with you. There's people watch and make sure that it's okay. But the idea being that there's a huge scene in The Wizard of Oz where she falls asleep in the poppy fields. And I thought, well, how nice would it be if I had an opportunity to, after spending a long, tireless day in whatever city's sun, I could sit in and take a nice little nap. A place that I felt safe and secure, and I could sit there and recoup. And if it's a matter of a door that locks or something like that to give you that feeling of security, like the Japanese nap pods or something along those sorts of lines. But the idea of a nice calm place where you can go, where you could be lulled away for a nice quick nap, 15-minute nap. All right? I think personally, if I had a 15-minute nap halfway through my Disneyland day, I might be able to power through and actually have a full experience. Yes, Spencer.
Is this attraction called If I Only Had a Nap?
No, if you only had a brain. No, it's
Great type.
No, this is literally, I call it the.
As you go in.
Yeah. No, it's only that on loop. So it's to encourage people to leave. It just gets louder throughout the 15 minutes. No, this is literally, it's just called the Poppy Fields Nap. That's it. It's a place where you can go, sit, have a nice calm moment, and take a quick power nap.
I call it the Podpy Fields.
So
See, that would have been great.
So sex pods.
Nope.
No, they're supervised nap pods.
Supervised nap pods.
No, if you're gonna feel secure, you're not gonna be watched.
No, there are people on duty. They're like the way that it works at the airport. There's a patron.
So one
that is standing there.
One person goes into a nap pod.
And the other watches.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like an open.
It's an open sleeping area.
Wait, are you describing more like a airport, like an in-airport like hotel where it's like you buy it for an hour and to sleep?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like it's all like I've seen these in a lot of airports. You like check in, you go into the room, you sleep, and then you come out, and they're like tubes. There's not room for 2 people on top of each other.
Yeah, they're barely enough room. It's a quick place for you to take a power nap, or if you have a kid that's crying that needs a nap that can't go to sleep around all these people.
But if there's not enough room for 2 people, so you have a kid, so you just stuff this kid in the pod and then seal it up.
See,
it'll open.
Well, at least I don't have to deal with them for a half hour.
Yeah, see on the other side, kid.
I mean, if it's a 30-minute thing that could sterilize itself and then opens up, you're not worrying about the kid getting locked inside because It's like you could set that up ahead of time with a patron situation where you have the ability to do that. Plus, the parrot could sit there in a chair right outside the pod. It's the ability to give the kid a nap is the point.
They can leave and go on rides and just leave the kid there.
Well, you have like kid versions and adult versions, right? Like, Okay.
There's room to explore the idea is the point.
So this is included with admission?
No, premium fee. Who are you kidding?
You know what would be cool is if these pods were shaped like poppies.
So I'm gonna pay park prices to go to
Like
a theme park.
How much do you pay for a stroller, bud?
A stroller pushes them around to different rides. This is your sleeping.
What about the locker you put your stuff in?
15 to 30 minutes.
We use the free lockers at all the different rides.
That's why you get your stuff stolen, bud.
You know what else you could do? You could also, if you really need a nap, you could just, I don't know, get your hand stamped, walk out to the car or whatever, sleep there for 15 to 30 minutes, and then come back inside.
Honestly,
if it's
sleep inside a show for 20, 25 minutes.
Cheaper.
Yes, that's true. I could have a show that you could sleep in for 20 minutes. I apologize. I'm the crazy one. I should have gone with the Knott's Berry Farm method. So we've all slept through a Knott's Berry Farm ride. Anyway,
True, I've never been there.
I've never slept.
How have you never been to Knott's Berry Farm?
How have you done?
Different.
I was gonna go, and then the world went awry.
Yeah, that was the
fun fact. Growing up, my dad would say to, because I grew up in Southern California, and my dad would tell us, he'd go, "Hey, we're gonna go to Disneyland today," and we'd all be so excited. And on our way to Disneyland, he'd be like, "I'm gonna stop off and get some fried chicken on the way." And we'd stop at Knott's Berry Farm, and he'd go, "While we're here, why don't we just go here instead?" And every time I'd get conned into thinking I'm going to Disneyland and then ending up spending half a day with the only decent ride being the Jaguar and the
problems.
You know what?
It's fine.
I've auditioned a couple times at Knott's Berry Farm, so I've been on their stages before.
Oh, good. How dare you? Here I was going to deduct points for truthfulness. Anyway, my second...
Sleep pods that we got to pay extra for.
What's next?
Yeah.
They're poppy themed? That's your idea of poppy field?
Yeah,
they'll be inside the stems. Like you can make it so it actually looks like it's a nice
epidemic that's going on right now. We're gonna.
It's in the.
Now that I say they're shaped,
I'm just saying that we could add a vending machine, whatever you need to knock you out. No, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for that. Anyway.
So it's because I mentioned they're poppies. You didn't mention that before. I
did mention they were poppy fields. He mentioned it at the very beginning.
Buddy, it's in the pitch. This is going well.
Based on the poppy fields.
Anyway, my next idea.
So they're poppies.
Idea number 2.
Moving on to idea number 2.
Well, that's now practical.
When I think of creative teams coming up with ideas and having a lot of fun building from the ground up, I always remember a meeting I have towards the 65% wave part where they mention who the sponsor for the ride might be. And that company's notes. Now, if we were to design a ride with that in mind, or design an attraction with the sponsor in mind, I feel like it might be an easier uphill battle. In this case, what I'm coming up with is the Munchkin Playland, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Now, Dunkin' Donuts happens to have an item on their menu called Munchkins. And these items, instead of the derogatory term for a little person, can be rebranded to be about the donuts. So we can have a nice, delicious, sweet cart called Munchkin Land. Different flavors, different kinds that you can go and experience, sort of like a candy shop, but in this case, it's baked confections. This is Munchkin Lands, but here's the kicker. They're all miniature. Everything that you want, so that we might sell Munchkin pies that are just about this big. We might sell Munchkin cakes. It's all food brought down to size. Yes?
So my question is, are you making a Wizard of Oz land, or are you making a Wizard of Oz parody land? Because it feels like we're getting into, like, if Mel Brooks were to make Wizard of Oz land, this is what it would be. This is the...
Brother, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Mel Brooks presents
like indoor mall FEC type vibes. So
I'm just saying, look, we didn't have the budget for a full land, and I kind of had to work around what we had in the airport already. So I'm building around that.
You know what
No.
disappoints me the most is I feel like you're gonna get more points than me, and I like actually really like tried very hard.
Stop talking about the points.
Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Point out one thing right now, which is that
Go on.
I understand your point about sponsorship and Dunkin' Donuts, and they might have something called a munchkin. But what is like the one food related item that you associate with Munchkin Land?
Cupcakes.
Lollipops.
The lollipop guild. So
That also makes a lot of sense.
gaping guest like expectation that you're now like,
No,
hey, you remember the
honestly-
lollipop guild? Come have some donuts.
Feel free to bring it up with Dunkin' Regional and Dunkin' International headquarters. Originally it was a lollipop shop, but then the sponsor got involved. We had to switch a few things around. We had to scramble.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. But you've got the lollipop guild, right? Lollipop guild, and then
Lollipop Guild.
is the Lullaby League. So if you had put the Nap Pods and the Lollipop Guild in the same area, you could have had a whole theme of your rides and attractions.
Yeah.
You know you don't get points for my thing, right?
No, I'm just fixing it.
Okay. I see the fatal flaw in not including lollipops or the basic centralized concept of the song. I get it.
And Donut Land, which is great. Everyone loves donuts. Maybe not for Wizard of Oz.
I'm just saying we have an opportunity with Munchkin. Look, I saw the pun and I ran with it.
I get it. I mean, you know, you bring up a point that sponsors can sometimes adjust or change an idea, but I think that is more along the lines of try our donut flavored lollipop, then we're gonna
Would have been a great idea. I'm so glad you're here to bring that to a great way of making it a real thing. All right, so just going to stop things for 1 second. You might notice that Brad has disappeared. We've had a camera malfunction, so we're going to power through. You'll still be able to hear Brad, but you might not see him. So we're going to put up this lovely, silly image of him, and we're going to power through. Fantastic. So let's move on to my final pitch. Now, when I think of The Wizard of Oz, I think of one of the biggest, most impactful moments where we see the Great Oz's head. This big smoking tower. Oh, the Great Oz! And there's a little man behind the curtain with the little knobs and levers. After seeing King Kong for the first time on Broadway, I thought to myself, how cool would it be if we could take a giant animatronic and have a little bit of interaction with people controlling it? Now, I know that giant animatronics tend to break down, and when you give the customer or the guest too much control and you're putting too much strain on the systems, that it could have a tendency to break, and then you have a giant attraction that's broken down for the majority of the time. However, here's how I would like to solve that issue. Using a system of both smoke projection and practical movement, where we actually have people off on the sides with lights that are controlling these things via mechanic rather than a 1-to-1 button ratio. We can basically have someone calling in the shots if they could be doing that. Yes, it's a little bit more straining on the actual people. However, my goal is to give the audience the ability for the entire setup of the Great Oz that you can ask questions to turn around on a rotation so they can see the men behind the curtain, men and women behind the curtain. I would like to be able to give people the behind-the-scenes look of the show that they just watched. So, in a very similar sense to what Brad said about this big smoke and mirrors show, we're going to give the ability for these audience members to understand how these effects are pulled off. So, a show will last about 7 minutes.
Wow.
At that point in time, the entire set itself will rotate to another gallery of people on the other side seeing that show, and the show that's being shown on the other side will get to see the behind-the-scenes aspect of it. So you basically have 2 amphitheaters back that are on either side of a rotating platform. Each one's getting the 2 different 7-minute shows, but it's rotating around so you could see how it works. We would want to add simple pulleys, simple smoke effects. We would want to add basic puppeteering, advanced puppeteering. We would see the servos, the communications, all the different things that we could see. And then the monitors on the sides of either side of the theater, think of it like a Shamu experience where we have the screens capturing on the sides, we actually get to see and hear the people calling the shots. So the people will get to see the stage managers and see the people behind the scenes of these giant practical shows, something that isn't really shown off too much because we don't like to spoil the magic. In this case, that is the mechanism that you're highlighting. You're highlighting how these things work, how these people can get into it and inspire the next generation of creators to step in and do the same thing. So those are my 3 pitches.
So what you've described is noises off.
Practically, yes.
Like you've literally described noises off with the
Well, the directors in the audience giving notes.
Show multiple times. You get to see all the things that go wrong.
Yeah.
Except the stage is rotating and we're getting the same exact show to 2 separate audience spaces at the same time. So there's actually
Yeah, but it's pretty much noises off, because noises off, like when you switch to backstage, they still go on stage and do their quote unquote show.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no audience technically there in the actual performance of Noises Off. You've just put an audience there for them doing this same scene sort of show.
Yeah, and Dumbo and the Astro cars are the same thing.
Yeah.
You just changed the ride vehicle. Not Astro cars. I meant to say
that.
Oh shoot.
They're not similar at all.
But that's not also not at all what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that you're just doing Noises Off.
Well, I think, Spencer's trying to say something.
No, you go ahead.
Well, okay. So, behind the scenes, which is, Spencer, we were talking about your time as a tour guide with Universal. Like, yes, that's the whole point of Universal, behind the movies and everything. I think I get the point of the behind the scenes for Wizard of Oz because you have the moment where he's revealed as the man behind the curtain. So I get where you have that wanting to show the audience how that works practically. But I think that really takes you out of the whole Wizard of Oz piece of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Wizard of Oz, yeah, like you don't want to expose the magic of the man behind the curtain, but not the actual magic of the show itself. I think 14 minutes to see the same show twice, that's a lot of time.
It is.
And a very difficult, because you got to load in an audience and load out an audience, and then there's time in between, and you're going to lose them very quickly. I do think, though, and I think having a rotating theater, and I've heard that pitched before, is more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah.
And it really only works in, what is that old attraction?
Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, Carousel of Progress is like the only place I've ever seen it still function. But I will say this. I think that they're much like, Spencer had little things that you could follow and create something. I think there's something here in the idea that you're revealing how the Great and Powerful Oz was created, and whether that's accurate to the actual function of it or not. I think
a fictionalized show of how those mechanics could work, whether it be like, and throw more chickens at it. Like that.
I mean, the special effects show at Universal Studios Hollywood is a great example of like, this is how effects are done, but it's like,
hyper.
Right.
We trick you a lot.
Yeah. I think you keep it in one room. It's like you come in and it's like, the Great and Powerful Oz, and then something happens. Maybe it's a guest interaction where a kid comes up to ask Oz a question and is prompted to reveal the curtain. And now it becomes a show about how he was creating Oz himself.
That is a much better fixed version of what I said.
Thank you.
Brad, show how many fingers you think that idea's worth. Oh, fantastic, Brad. Thank you so much. No,
Spencer's going to love the editing in this.
Just wanted to point out, I just wanted to point out what Kathrynn had mentioned about the load in and load out was my question. I was like, so if you have this rotating theater, is the one audience who's getting the regular show before the behind the scenes, is the other audience just sitting around waiting for 7 minutes for the show to start? That's what it felt like to me, because unless you're loading people in and out in like 7 minutes at a time back and forth, it's good.
You'd stagger. You do a 5 minute load in, load out on both sides.
Yeah,
you do the P.T. Barnum.
That seems real quick.
Clean, exit and clean. The circus, P.T. Barnum Circus could generally do a flip in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes is actually really, you can do a flip in 3.
I guess I'm just thinking
Yeah.
it's like a big theater, and it takes people a long time to leave.
You make it rows. One person per row. You sweep the theater as they're coming out, and then you bring as that person's ending their row, you bring the next one in.
I can see that.
So I like the I do like the idea. I mean, in seeing the behind the scenes of it going on, I can't get noises out of my head though.
It's a great place
because the thing is, having been a stagehand and worked backstage on theme park shows and just shows in general, it's hectic. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Yeah. It's not necessarily rehearsed and cleaned up like.
And people are rushing and trying to get on stage, like.
So
yeah,
a
fictional version of that would probably be the way to make it work.
It'd have to be a fictional version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't control your showtime. You can't control, like think about when a show fails and you have to do a show dump. You're going to end up show dumping 2 shows at once.
Yeah. That's a good point. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this didn't go wrong the first show, but now it's going wrong the second show. And now everybody has to leave 2 shows. Yeah.
We're going to hold. All right. Thank you, everyone. Everyone out. No, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. But I do think there's something there. And I think you should, revealing Oz is part of the lore and part of a great moment in film history, and finding a way to do that in a more controlled, even more smoke and mirrors theme park way is cool. There's a cool idea there.
All right. So you've heard all of our pitches. We'll run them through for you one more time before you award these points. Now, keep in mind, you are allowed to award points to you can award multiple points to a ride, or just award the same ride, all 3. It is yours to do what you want with. If you didn't like any of them, don't give any points. There, I said it. If you didn't like any ideas, don't even bother. Just say skip. No, but you should. You should, because it'll break the show. So let's go ahead and run down our rides one more time for you. Spencer.
I had the It's a Twister Drop Tower and Dark Ride. I had Professor Marvel's Journey Through Oz, and I had the very simple, very practical Dorothy and Toto meet and greet.
My 3 attractions were Aunt M's Farmhouse Kitchen, The Wizard of Oz's Splendid Spectacular, and Flight of the Flying Monkeys. Oliver.
My rides were attractions. So they were all the Poppy Fields, the Munchkin Experience, which is the Munchkin brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, and Meeting the Great Oz. So we're going to go category by category with you here. The first one up is creativity. Kathryn, what do you got? Starting with bronze.
I'm reading my notes.
By all means. Here. It's just loudly screaming, ah.
What? Drop Tower. Sepia? So we're starting with creative. Is that what we said?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the bronze for creative.
A bronze for creative. I'm gonna go back here, and I'm gonna go with the nap pods. Honestly, I think that that's filling a interesting creative hole that does not currently exist in theme parks. But you're knee deep in a theme park, 4:00. The parking lot is 4 trams away, and your 3-year-old is crying and needs a cool, nice place to go that's lightly themed. All right, nap pod it is.
Yeah, interesting.
Nap pod it is.
Interesting.
I'll take it.
Sure.
That is the bronze for creative. Moving on to silver.
Creative. For silver for creative, I'm gonna go with the Witch's Tower, Flight of the Flying Monkey.
Woo, 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 woo.
Brad takes it. Silver for creative, and now the gold.
The gold for creative is also going to Brad.
Yeah.
For Aunt M's Farmhouse Kitchen.
It's such a good idea. It's the second he said it, I was like, that's such a good idea.
So cool. And I really love, what I really, really love is like when you walk into a theme park and there's little nods to things that just really create the world. The whole idea of having like a lion plush or a abstracted Tin Man somewhere where you kind of see that like this was all there all along for Dorothy's fever dream. I think that's awesome. That is like, I want to go to that restaurant right now.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to practical. For practical, what do you got for bronze? And please don't say it.
All right. Well, it's bronze for practical.
Yeah.
So, Spencer, it is
God
practical thing.
damn it.
But I do think that like, you know, your boring factors might be a little higher.
I'm pitching a parking lot next week.
It's practical, but the Yellow Brick Road meet and greet is the bronze. Bronze for practicality.
Well, we want to be clear. It's a hard bronze.
Well,
It's a hard bronze.
It's a hard bronze.
On silver, it's a hard bronze.
thank you very much for my one pity point of the evening. I will
It's a
take it.
boring bronze.
You're welcome.
Sorry, it's Brahms. It's actually the composer Brahms. You don't win any medals. No. Go ahead. We're moving on to silver for practical.
For silver, for practicality, this is a tough one. I think we got there eventually on some of these things as far as practicality goes, and that's what makes this.
What a kind way to phrase that.
We got to practical eventually, but there were two that I'm going to go silver and bronze because I think that if they were pitched in a room today, they would definitely be able to move on to the next phase of development. So for silver, I'm going to go with Flight of the Flying Monkey again.
Yeah.
So silver for that attraction, and for gold, I'm also going to go with Annam's Farmhouse Kitchen again.
Yeah.
Smart. This is looking to be a Brad sweep week.
This is I got to be honest, didn't see it coming. I
got to be honest, neither did I.
And no one even pitched a broomstick, so I don't know how anyone's sweeping this week.
I hate you.
Wow.
We're moving on so we could get out of here
Gold
to gold.
goes to this.
Yeah, we're going to the meet and greet.
Yeah, to fan favorites, you could say blanket drop tower, or we could start off with what your pick is for your fan favorite or for your guest favorite for bronze.
Okay, so I know that we're basing it off of the original pitches, so keep that in mind.
We're usually the ones warning the guest, and the guest is warning us this week. I love this.
And no hard feelings.
And no, I think, there's a lot of, we were talking about this kind of offline, but like, this is the creative process, right? You come up with a crazy idea, and then eventually you follow it down the Yellow Brick Road of something that works, right?
Munchkins. I get it. That's our show, everybody. I took all three.
It's the Munchkin donut, not a lollipop guild. So as far as my bronze, silver, gold favorites go, this is going to be a little bit of a surprise as far as favorite. But my bronze is going to go to Spencer's first idea. And here's why. I expected to hear 3 dark ride pitches today, honestly. And Spencer is the only one that delivered on my expectation of a dark ride in being able to satisfy both the sepia portion of the film as well as the color portion of the film. And so to me, I'm like, yeah, I would sit here for another couple hours and bang that out into something that was not a drop tower. But
well, you fixed it. It's a coaster. We've already had the idea to move forward with.
Exactly. As far as silver for my favorite goes, and we got to something eventually, and I'm going to point this out. Favorite does not mean practical, and favorite. So,
that is correct. Favorite has nothing to do with anything that requires actually making this.
Yeah, just look at season 1. Just look at season 1 in my pitches.
Yeah.
Mostly lie.
Yeah, to qualify all of this, these are things that I would sit here and continue to talk about until we got to something that was like,
right,
we could make it happen, right? So in that end, my silver is going to go to the Oz behind the scenes head show, because
that's fine. That's 100% how the title is going to be written.
Behind the scenes head.
The behind the scenes head show.
Yeah, because that's a moment of film that is a guest expectation that has to be delivered on, and how do we find a cool interactive way to do that? I think that there's something here in the idea of like we reveal the coolness in something. And I love a good show, not for napping but for watching. And then my gold is going to go to the Flight of the Flying Monkey.
Yeah,
it's a good ride. It's a good ride idea.
Right. It's a great ride. And the future of our industry to see coasters become more thematic. And I think building off of everything that Brad brought in, there's even more you could probably add to that flying coaster than even you'd pitch. But there's a lot there to start
Spencer,
with.
Cue my celebration picture.
You know, I got to be honest. There's this feeling. What is this feeling? It's so sudden and new.
It's loathing, bud. It's loathing.
Alterated loathing.
Yes, that's how I would describe this. My whole life long. Kathrynn, thank you so much for joining us this week. Is there anything you want to plug or anything before we get out of here?
You know, I live in China, so no, not really.
Yeah, no, I would say that. Well, no matter what happens, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for joining us. Brad, you can see his expression right now. He's so over the moon. That's going to wrap it up for us.
Spencer.
Oh, God, please let this end. We're going to end this. Thank you so much for watching Theoretical Thrills. I've been Oliver.
I've been Brad.
I'm Spencer.
And that's Kathrynn. Have a good one, everybody.
Did you enjoy the episode you just watched? Feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have an interpretation of an idea based on the theme of the week, feel free to tag us on social media with hashtag Theoretical Thrills, and we may feature your ride and attraction on the show.
Theoretical Thrills, the theory of the thrill.